Welcome to the High Vibe Moms Club, the podcast for ambitious women ready to ditch burnout, diet culture, and mom guilt so they can feel hot, healthy, and radiant from the inside out. I'm your host, Shannon, and this isn't just another wellness podcast, it's a movement. If you're ready to raise your vibe, reset your health, and step into your most confident self, you're in the right place. Hello, beautiful mama. Welcome back to another episode of High Vibe Moms Club. Today's episode is straight from the heart because this is something that I've lived through and still navigate to this day. So I wanted to start with kind of like a hard truth, if you will. Our kids are always watching us. And it's not just how we feed them, love on them, or show up at soccer practice, baseball. They are watching how we talk about ourselves and others, how we look in the mirror, how we react when the jeans feel a little bit tighter than we want them to, how we value or devalue our own bodies. And that awareness has shifted everything for me. Growing up, I attached my self-worth to the number on the scale. And this was a really, really, really hard thing to break. And I know a lot of us mamas are still dealing with this. And so growing up, I picked up something from my family, this strong belief that your self-worth is tied to that number on the scale. And it's kind of subtle. Like it's not something always that you're like, "Oh yeah, no kidding, no wonder." Um but just little comments being told, when you're in a bathing suit, and I would hear my mom be like, "Suck it in, suck it in." Or maybe things from other family members, "Once on your lips, forever on your hips." Anytime that I reached for a snack. Yeah, I thought that in order to be loved, it meant being smaller because that is what it appeared to be. And that belief was really hard to break. And I still catch myself sometimes on the scale because family members will be like, "Oh my gosh, how much do you weigh?" And I now know, like, that doesn't matter. It should be, "Hey, how are you feeling?" So it took me years to realize that my value has nothing to do with that number on the scale. And honestly, I still catch myself stepping on the scale, feeling anxious if I'm over, quote unquote, that certain number that growing up I always heard of. If you're over a certain number in my family, it was like, "Oh, like you just kind of get that little side eye look." I just want to let you know that you're not alone in this. Growing up as a kid, it was always you had to be small, you had to be skinny, you had to fit in a certain size, or at least that's how I felt in order to be loved. And so now I focus more on how I feel, how much muscle I've gained, how strong I've become, not how little I weigh. And the biggest shift came when I started doing things a little bit differently. I started speaking kindly to myself. I started appreciating it. So when you look in the mirror, you want to appreciate all the things that your body has done for you instead of get frustrated or be sad about the reflection looking back at you. So you want to speak kindly to yourself. Also, I started fueling myself with real whole foods instead of focusing on things that were low carb, low fat, low calorie, low whatever. instead just focusing on what actually makes my body feel good. And then also, I briefly touched on this, but focusing on how I felt. Did I feel depleted or did I feel energized? It's not just about how you look, because when I was training for my show, I was the leanest I've ever been, and I felt completely depleted. And I also felt starving. Like I was obsessive over food. I was so hungry all the time. And I just knew, like, okay, if I want to look a certain way, like I have to be super lean and I have to essentially feel hungry all the time. And that's not what we want. We want to feel energized. We want to feel excited. Like I was so, talk about fatigue. I literally lived on energy drinks because I just felt so wiped out all the time. And with all that being said, I don't want you to think that I stopped wanting to feel confident. I mean, everybody wants to feel good in their skin. I just stopped chasing confidence from a place of shame. And when that changed, everything else did too. So if you've ever stood in front of the mirror wishing something about you looked different, been there. You're not alone. So sometimes I would look in the reflection and, maybe it's the arms, maybe it's the stretch marks. I have a bunch of stretch marks on the back of my thighs that I, just own it. Maybe it's that belly that carried life and now you feel like it's betrayed you. But let me tell you, every wrinkle, every curve and mark is a chapter in your story. You've birthed babies. You've shown up tired and still given your best. You've held it together when everything else felt like it was falling apart. And this is why you are so much more than that number on the scale. You are so much more than a before and after photo. And so here is another truth that I want you to hold on today. You don't have to earn your worth through your weight. You were already born enough. You are enough today, right here, right now. I know that it gets a little tricky because you're like, okay, Shannon, that's great. You're saying that I'm enough, but I don't feel like I am enough. So we're going to go through a couple of little steps and everything to reframe that so you can start being more aware of what's going on and then make that shift. Even when we try to get healthy, a lot of times it's not from a place of love, but more of a place of punishment. You might do something like, oh, I ate tacos, so now I have to burn that off and do X amount of minutes on the treadmill. No, 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 no. Because if you're at war with your body, you will never find peace with food, your emotions, or your health. So, body positivity isn't about pretending to love every inch of yourself all the time. It's about respect, it's about compassion, it's about creating a home inside your body that feels safe and kind. And it all starts with the way we talk to ourselves. And so, I'm sure you've heard the phrase, you are what you eat. But what I want you to remember is you are what you think. Your thoughts about yourself are just as nourishing or toxic as the food that you put into your body. And so every time you compare yourself, criticize your reflection, and try to shrink yourself to feel worthy, you're feeding your nervous system fear instead of safety. This is what I want you to start shifting this week. Let's flip the script. We'll try some mantras and you can edit these however feels best for you. Put them on a sticky note so when you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, It's always that reminder right there, front and center. My body deserves to be nourished. My body deserves to be loved exactly as I am today and every day. My body deserves joy, comfort, and to be dressed in clothes that make me feel confident and radiant. This is something that I've slightly started to tweak too, is I am wearing more skirts and dresses because they make me feel good. So now let's reframe something together. Think of one part of your body that you normally criticize. All right, you got that? So now let's shift that story to help change your perspective. For example, if you say something like, I hate my stomach, let's kind of shift that to, my stomach is soft and carried life. It holds strength and love. Maybe it's, my thighs are too big. My legs are powerful and strong. They help me chase my kids, dance in the kitchen, and show up for my life. We want to speak to ourselves like you would speak to your daughter or your best friend. What if we start treating ourselves like someone who we truly love and adore? Instead of saying things like, I need to lose weight before I wear that. What about, my body deserves to feel confident now? Instead of, I messed up today, I'll just start over Monday. Try something like, I'm learning to nourish myself with love and not punishment. Because when we treat our body with respect and we choose real food and rest and joyful movement and positive self-talk, we begin to radiate confidence from the inside out. And yes, your kids notice. Because our journey isn't just about us. It's about our daughters who will look in the mirror and remember what they saw us do. It's about our sons who will grow up knowing what real confidence in a woman looks like. Let's show them that beauty isn't tied to that number on the scale. Let's show them that real beauty and confidence comes from within. So take a breath with me, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Imagine waking up tomorrow, looking in the mirror and smiling, not because your body changed overnight, but because you changed the way you see yourself. Imagine stepping into the family photo, wearing the shorts, maybe buying the dress, going to the beach, because you're done hiding. You're done hiding your appearance. You're embracing it. Repeat after me. My worth is not defined by a number. My body is a gift. I choose to speak to myself with love. I am a beautiful example of health, strength, and self-respect. We are all a work in progress. We are not perfect, but we are all trying to show up as our best selves every single day. So I want your takeaway for this week to be really being aware of that self-talk, because our minds do a lot of things that we don't even notice. I hear people all the time out loud saying the most horrible things about themselves, and it's so nonchalant. And I just talk about cringe. Okay, so step 1, becoming aware of that self-talk. And step 2, pick out 3 of your favorite affirmations. It could be the ones I said today, or it could be ones that resonate more with you. and write those down on your mirror. So every morning before you start your day and you brush your teeth and before you go to bed, you are reading those. And then the third thing I want you to do is shift the story. So this was like the example with, instead of I hate my stomach is soft and carried life, and it holds strength and love. So those are the 3 steps that I want you to implement this week so you can start to feel like your best self. So then that way you can really start to love your body again, because we want to ditch the scale and heal your self-talk for that lasting confidence for yourself as well as for your kiddos. So if this episode resonated with you, I would love to hear what part really hit home for you, what had the biggest impact. So go ahead and send me a message on Instagram at Shannon Gets Fit to share your biggest takeaway. And don't forget to grab your 20 free gut-friendly recipes in the show notes, because if you're still kind of at a loss of where to even start eating those really healing, nourishing foods that make you feel good from the inside out, you can go ahead and get started there. Your journey is your own. So let's walk it with strength and confidence and joy. I will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Love you so much. Bye.